live.
Hi,
Hello.
welcome to the Libertarian Party of Texas Candidate Highlight. I'm Amanda Gibbs. I'm the comms director. My co host is Nathan Polsky, who is part of our political action. And today we have Brent Lewis
Hey guys.
running for Congress.
Hey, Brent, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure.
All right. So let's just kind of dig into this. So, Brent, I think this is the first time that you and I have ever spoken, seen each other. So I know you're running for Congress, Congressional District 34, down along the southern border of Texas. So tell me, tell Amanda, and tell everybody else who's out there who ends up watching this who you are, um, why you're running, and what you're running for.
Yeah, Brent Lewis, United States Air Force veteran. I've done everything from muck out horse stalls to build rockets for SpaceX. So all over the place. And really, the reason why I'm running is for one, libertarian representative in the district, and two, because honestly, our government is too damn big. It's taking up
Mm-hmm.
way too much of our freedoms, and mainly the national debt, in my opinion, is leading us to a catastrophe that might destroy, if not the country, the world. Like, and I'm not joking about that. So it's a big issue. Yeah.
So you're still active Air Force,
Former Air Force. Yeah.
former Air Force.
Yeah. I'll be 39 this week, so I'm a little older than I look. But yeah, I got
Oh,
out back
happy
in.
early birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. But yeah, I've been out for a while, and I'm comfortable with that.
Well, so every libertarian that I've met, they've had this a story of some kind that kind of brought them to the Libertarian Party. Was the Air Force yours, or was there something else that just made you libertarian as opposed to Republican or Democrat?
Air Force played a little bit of a role in there, mainly because I'm sitting there, I'm serving, and Iraq War was going on pretty heavy at that point. And then you see all the videos and everything, and how many like women, and children are just being blown to bits. And you're sitting there going like, "What are we doing here exactly? Why are we bombing this
Mm-hmm.
place that you said had nukes and doesn't?" So like the anti-war thing was definitely a big issue, and then also economics, that's a big one. Um, like I've always been kind of on both sides of the aisle, as far as like my political views. Like, yeah, why can't you smoke weed? I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. That's your business. You do what you want. It's better than alcohol, in my opinion. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I do want a big gun. So there's that. So it's just one of those things where I've kind of been on both sides. I mainly was conservative Republican supporting, I'd say, for the majority of my life. But honestly, the Republicans are Democrats 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't conserve anything. They just kind of, it looks like they just kind of go with the flow and pretend like they are doing what they're supposed to do, and they just don't. And so they're just a bunch of giant pansies that do nothing. Like I think about it like this: the Democrats are going at 100 miles an hour straight off a cliff, and Republicans are doing it at 50 miles an hour, and most people think that's better. It's like no, no, they're both bad. We're both going the same place off a cliff. One's just doing it slower. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the Libertarian Party is the best bet to pretty much shut down big government, stop the corruption, and hey, lower taxes in the process. So win.
Ideally, no taxes.
Baby
Yeah,
steps.
well, hey,
And a
you got to be
base.
realistic. Realistic.
Yes.
Well, so it sounds like foreign wars is probably sounds like one of your biggest concerns if you're elected. National debt is also a big concern. Do you have like a list of like what you want to take care of when elected into office, or is it more just um, go with libertarian principles and not really have a task list?
Once again, it's all about what you actually can do while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I've been doing is studying pretty much, like Thomas Massey. I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listen to a lot of like congressmen as far as what they can do and can't do. And it does seem like such a quagmire that almost nothing can get done. Um, I think representational bills might be the best way to do things. So, like, introduce like term limits for
Mm-hmm.
congressmen, senators, so forth. That way, we don't have the same old corrupt people like Nancy Pelosi, who's 298 years old and she's still in office. And and pretty much limit who has the power for such a long period of time. And also, single bill voting, I think, would be very important that a lot of people could get behind. Because anytime they talk about an omnibus bill and people hear that it's 2,500 pages, no one reads that. And it would be nice to actually make Congress work to where they actually have to vote on all of these bills individually. So that's a big thing that I would like to see and propose while I get in there. And also, well, talk about ending the Fed, but that's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. Um, but
Well, we have to have faith.
Mm-hmm.
and
Not with that
also,
attitude, it won't.
very, very well, and also balancing the damn budget. That is the biggest priority for me. And I this kind of interacts with foreign wars because the amount of money we've given to Ukraine, Israel, and
Mhm.
spread all over the globe for the most part is honestly, I kind of don't care about the wars over there. No, not saying I don't care. They're terrible. Like hundreds of thousands of people have died in Ukraine, and you know, tens of thousands in Israel. But I just don't see the reason to actually give them money. If they want to purchase munitions, that's fine. All right, that's my compromise right there. You want to buy weapons from us? That's on you. You take a loan out or something. But as far as just giving away cash, no, we got enough problems here. And if you're going to tax us for our dollars, then don't send them overseas.
Mhm. Well, it's even worse. It's we send them money so that they can then use that money to purchase weapons from us.
Oh yeah, and if they do it under the War Production Act, then it's actually technically a loan. So then they're supposed to pay it back over time, but then it's a big mess. Like, England didn't actually pay off their War Production Act from World War II until like the early 2000s. Like we didn't actually give them money; it was a loan. And but then it also puts us in debt to where we really have to back Ukraine if we want these hundreds of billions of dollars back, but we won't get it back for 50 to 100 years, so it doesn't matter, and it's all stupid. Uh,
uh, uh,
And
I
correct me if
lost
I'm
my.
wrong on anything. I'm okay with that.
No, 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 you're
no,
fine.
you're good.
I lost my notes, and I d- I'm very much an anti-war person. I think that we need to take care of our people at home. There, especially like with you being a veteran, there are a lot of veterans out there who are not being taken care of after they had to do horrible things, especially like our generation, because like talking prior, we're all about the same age. And the things that people saw post 9/11 uh, really jacked with them mentally. And they, the VA, the government doesn't really help those people. So,
I got horror stories, and like one of my if you're a veteran, 9 out of 10 times you know a buddy that's taken his own life because of it, and lost one of my best friends to that. And so like he was completely fine until he wasn't, and
Mhm.
yeah.
then it's too late. And then another horror story. I was had a female friend. She was on 100% disability for like 10 years, and then they decided to just take it away and make her reapply. It's like she's got kids. That's how she lives. She can't work. And then they're like, "Oh no, we lost your paperwork. We swear. So just reapply."
Uh,
Yeah, that is such an easy process, right?
No.
uh,
Yeah, but yeah, war is generally bad, but sometimes I
mhm.
think it is necessary. I mean, some bad guys come into your neighborhood, you got to do something about it. But no one's coming to America, so yeah,
Well, and that is being a defensive measure. That is someone has
100% correct.
uh,
Hmm.
they have infringed on your property. They have invaded your space. That it's 100% okay as far as libertarians are concerned to defend yourself at that point. But yeah,
Yeah,
And
I,
that's individuals. It doesn't necessarily have to be the government handling that stuff. Individuals in your neighborhood can handle that.
yeah. I'm just saying, if Mexico decided to put 100,000 troops there, then naturally I'd support defending against that. But defensive wars, I'm okay with. Uh, However, how do you get to a defensive war? I mean, there's usually some bad stuff that happened in between.
yeah, it's
Like
throwing money at another country that is allied or at war with somebody else.
yeah, or trying to put Ukraine in NATO, and then wonder why Russia's pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
My thing is, or maybe like a state governor sending a bunch of armed troops down to the border pointing at them.
Hey, the border.
I know that's controversial.
It is. It can be.
Nathan, you and I have already argued about this. It's okay.
I'll give my position on the
Go.
border. Right now, I'm kind of with Dave Smith on this one, and I'm usually open borders, and I think it should be easier to gain citizenship pretty much anywhere.
Hmm.
You know, if you want to come here, so long as you're not a criminal, blah blah blah, and you actually have some skills. You can't just be a dishwasher from El Salvador, although I think people want to go back there now. Um, and just come across and be like, "Hey, work." Well, maybe you can. I don't really care. But what I see right now seems to be more of an invasion, and also more of a human trafficking issue. Um, it's really complicated, but when you get thousands and thousands of military like age men from like China that are going across, and you look at our energy infrastructure, how vulnerable we are, it can be considered an invasion at some point, and it's something that really needs to be addressed carefully because what's going on now, I don't see to be reasonable. And also, you can't have mass migration inside of a welfare state.
Hmm.
Now, that's a big one because you can't just be like, hey, here's 10, 15, 20 million people. And also, like what New York is doing, where they put them up in hotel rooms, food every day, and they also gave them a $5,000 Visa gift card.
Yep.
Like, who's paying for that?
Yeah.
I want a $5,000 Visa gift card.
I literally thought about trying it out where I cross the border, say I'm illegal, and then go to New York and see if I can get myself a free $5,000 and a nice vacation.
I think Chicago was actually giving them $5,000 a month.
Oh, well, yeah, that
That's a
makes sense.
lot.
Well,
Uh,
have you heard about like the
plus room and board and food and all that, and they
well,
didn't have to
about like
work.
about the refugee rules, right? Like how much they pay them for the first year or two.
I
No.
know that they get money. I don't know how much it is.
It's quite a bit, and it depends on if they like come over, how many kids they have, and so forth. But yeah, I've known quite a few refugees from like Syria, uh, Afghanistan. This is when I lived in San Diego, and they'd be pulling in like 3 or 4 thousand a month from the government. Then also, the man is working an under the table job where he's making like 15, $20 an hour, and they're like the American dream. I'm like, oh great, yeah,
It's
that makes
totally
sense.
it.
Yeah, well, it
Yeah,
is for you. Well, yeah,
and not to go too far off tangent or off down the rabbit hole, but that's the border discussion. That's that's one of the things that is very difficult for people to discuss. As you mentioned, open borders is the preferred state as far as libertarian society goes, but with that welfare state, and that's something that I don't think is really discussed often enough, is that you can't have open borders with a very active welfare state that's just handing out millions, if not billions, of dollars annually.
oh, it's billions. And then another thing I do have to throw in there, just because, is that there are cultural and legal differences that people are unaware of. It wasn't until like a decade ago there were certain provinces in Mexico. I'm not knocking Mexico, because there's stuff wrong with every country, where like the legal age of consent was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone comes to the United States and they are unaware that it's 18 in this state, then do you really want like a 35-year-old guy going to a middle school being like, I can pick up on chicks? And so, like, there's kind of like a process I think that should be going through. Like, you should have to take a test, to understand that, so that they understand the basic laws. Like, hey, you can't drink and drive. Uh, there are just certain things that also should be attached to that. But a big one is the welfare state.
Mm-hmm. All right. So speaking of, you had a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I was going to, speaking of the border, your congressional district is along the border. So what does that look like as far as I know in Texas, they love to gerrymander districts. Is it predominantly conservative, predominantly Democrat? And how do you differ from your opponents in that regard?
Well, speaking of gerrymandering, Myra Flores was actually special elected down here, down in
Mm-hmm.
2022 or 2023, I think. No, 2022. I'm getting the years wrong. But yeah, so she was special elected, and then they changed the district. so, so the 2022 election came up, or 2023, whatever it was, and then Vincente Gonzalez, he actually had to switch districts because of the way they reorganized it.
Mm-hmm.
and then he's a Democrat. So you had a Republican who won, but then they changed the districts, and then a Democrat took over, and he took over with like it was a pretty big lead. I think it was like 8%, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it appears to be more Democrat. However, there's coming over mainly because of the border issue.
Mm-hmm.
Even though a lot of people here are Spanish speakers, like there's restaurants here that they don't have English on the menu, and but they're coming along because they're actually pissed off at all the immigration. And where I'm at, I literally live 5 minutes away from an airport, and you'll see buses of illegal immigrants actually showing up middle of the night, like 2, 3 in the morning. Then they get on a plane, they fly somewhere. There's actually buses that stop, and there's just illegal migrants that are chilling there. They get on the bus and they go, I don't know where, but there's like a main gas station here in Harlingen that you just see them every day. And then of course you go to the border, which I'm like 15 minutes away, and it's actually a big issue for Hispanics. They really, really don't like the way the immigration and border policy is going. And I think the big reason of that is because they're seeing it in part because of the national debt, and two, because all the hotel rooms are full around here. There's used to be pretty much like no homelessness, no beggars, nothing like
Mm-hmm.
that, which is pretty rare in America. And now there are. Matter of fact, when I was being last meeting we had was back in May and or March, and literally a guy's walking down the street with a bicycle and no pants on, no underwear, and this is like downtown Harlingen, and I'm like, that's a first. I've never seen that before. And then of
Mm-hmm.
course some people had their kids with them at this meeting. And it's like, all right, keep your kids away from the window. But it's really affecting like the quality of life, the housing situation, food costs, everything is kind of impacting them. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Lexit. It's a
No.
Latino exit movement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty much a lot of Latinos that were former Democrats that are coming across, and they're being more conservative. And I think they'd actually be more in line with libertarian policies, truth be told.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like a chance of me winning this race, assuming I'm on the ballot proper, like I would say is probably pretty low, like a good 10 or 15%. However, that's a big portion of the population that could be converted over to libertarian principles, and that would be a growing step in,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess, this party.
I know that working with Mark Tippett and a little bit with Jaime Diaz, we did see when because both of them are, Jaime's grew up speaking Spanish and so did Mark. Like Mark grew up, I believe, in Mexico. Um, when libertarians actually got to talk to Spanish speakers, or they actually fell more in line, even though they were with one party or the other. And I would love to see our principles shared with that population of demographic a
Well,
little bit more.
here's a funny thing. Is that I think most people actually fall in line with libertarian politics in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone's kind of, I wouldn't say centrist, but for the most part, they're okay with weed and guns. Majority of people. Lower taxes. Yeah, who wouldn't like that? It's kind of silly, but a lot more people do. They're just kind of trapped in that box that they were raised in or that they think they should be in. Whether or not they're Democrat or Republican, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more about getting to them. And also, I got to say this just from seeing libertarian politics. Uh, the real hardcore people uh, need to chill out a little bit and not be like, "You're not a real libertarian." It's like, okay, we'll take who we can get. Okay, we got to move the party forward,
Mm-hmm.
not just have 1 to 3% every year and then say we're purist.
Yeah, no, because there's no real libertarian, right?
I'm the only real libertarian. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just Nathan. That's
No,
it.
like legitimately though, within the LP, that is a thing. Like, we have to be able to, like, give and take. Nathan and I do not agree on, some things, but we're both libertarians. We want less government. Leave us alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Don't
if we
aggress
can
upon people.
if we can agree on the general principles of things and then also freely open or freely give support to each other to advance to a better society, we should accept that. And then we can work out the details once we actually have some power. So,
Yeah, I think most libertarians agree on what 95 to 98% of the things, but we fight over that 5 to 2%
Yeah.
So pointless.
that aren't going to come true anytime soon, anyways.
Yeah,
Let's get people elected first.
Let's do that.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, I'm actually really excited. Hopefully, if Trump gets elected, assuming he doesn't get shot again, and yeah, and to see if he actually fulfills on that promise to have a libertarian in the pretty much a position. That'd be
We'll
nice.
we'll see if it's
I don't
actually
know
a
that
real
his
libertarian though.
pandering work. He is not. I will gatekeep
No,
that
not
all day
not not
long.
him. I meant whoever he selects as
Okay,
his cabinet member, if that's an actual real libertarian,
we'll see.
or if it's
I
Vivek.
Yeah, well, at least he hates the deep state, so I'll give him that. Uh,
does he?
All right, so you're running against a Republican and a Democrat, or just a two-way race?
correct. Republican and Democrat. Myra Flores and Vicente Gonzalez. Both have been in Congress.
Okay, so they've both been in the same exact position before, but with the redistricting, it affected the outcome the last time.
Correct. Yeah, Vicente was actually in a different district, and
Mm-hmm.
then, well, some gerrymandering magic, and here we are.
All
But
right,
should
so
be fun.
so as far as policy wise, then, what kind of sets you apart from the two of them?
Uh, well, easy. One's a full-fledged Joe Biden supporter, so all of his policies he votes in lockstep,
Mm-hmm.
and then also he has no commitment really. Like when October 7th happened, pretty much the
Mm-hmm.
next day he came out with a bill that he co-sponsored, and it's talking about like full support for Israel, everything, whatever they need, we want to give it to them. 2 weeks later, when it was time to vote on the bill, some people died because, hey, Israel actually attacked Gaza. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
that. And then immediately he's like, I'm not voting on that.
On his
uh,
bill.
on his bill, exactly. And I'm just like, are you serious? But you have no courage to back up what you said. Not even a comment about how I can't do this anymore. It's like, all right. Two, he's just terrible in general. Like with everything that's, if you're gonna like completely inflate the economy and support everything Joe Biden is doing, then at the very least you should get your district a little bit more than I think he got like a $50 million contract for some parks and like $120 million contract for like a internet access and low income and rural communities. Like so, like dude, if you're gonna sell out, you might as well get more for your vote and for your district if you're gonna destroy the nation in the process. And he's just a terrible Democrat in general. I mean, he's also a former cartel lawyer, so that's nice. It's
Is
always
that
good whenever you have.
supporting the cartels or going against the cartels?
Oh, like he like defended the cartels.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
their
So.
lawyer.
oh,
hmm
okay.
So like yeah, that and then into Congress, and so you can kind of guess the type of person he is. Myra Flores, she seems nice. Truth be told, she's a little heavy on. I think she's just racist. Truth be told.
I feel like I recognize her name.
Maya
Now she's got
Flores.
a. Yeah, she's a. Yeah, a good-looking
Googling.
woman. She's got a beautiful smile. She's pretty slow. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
little low on the IQ spectrum. Um, her in general, she's also just kind of lockstep into Republicans. I mean, they're both just, what do I need to vote on, and I will vote on that. And there's no real solutions that any of them are offering, other than uh, either A, we're going to make America great again because she is MAGA affiliated, or B, hey, whatever Joe Biden says, whatever can
Mm-hmm.
get me rich. So yeah, one is just kind of a puppet, and the other one is just kind of a self-serving, corrupt douchebag, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think people have forgotten that representatives are supposed to represent the people who vote for them, not whatever president's in office and doing their bidding or whatever political party.
That is correct. Yeah, and the ones that do kind of do that for their
Mm-hmm.
constituents, they tend to get a lot of shit. But that's one thing about me. If I am lucky enough to get elected, I don't care if I'm one term. I'm not there, and that's a big issue too. Is I think a lot of them want to do that as a career,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not doing it as public service. Like, let me get stuff done, even if it's unpopular, it'll be better. And then if I'm out the next term, that's fine. They just want to stay in there forever so they can have money and power, and that's something I just don't agree with.
Well,
I browsed her website.
so
Know which one?
speaking of having different political parties, do you sort of have an approach that you plan to take, um, work with Republicans and Democrats on maybe getting certain bills passed? Um, yeah.
Um, yeah, I do. Uh, what I would like to do actually, and I don't have any specifics in front of me, just because everything changes. So I mean, I can give generalized ideas,
Mm-hmm.
like. But what I would like to do as a general concept is actually promote a single bill, like that's it. So something I need from my district,
Mm-hmm.
and then do negotiations afterwards. So try to get it through, just a single bill to help my district or the nation as a whole, and not put it into an omnibus, refuse to do that, and then pretty much try to coerce and convince people that, hey, we can actually do this. Because if you start getting people that are doing single bills, and that's a step towards making it mandatory for single bills. And then, if I get a vote on something I don't like to get something passed in that regard, probably would. I mean, you got to give and take. Thomas Sowell says there are no solutions, there are just trade offs.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I would do. And the other one is if that does not work at all, then I would just boycott and vote no on any spending bill whatsoever.
I mean, as you
I mean,
Sure.
should.
yeah. Well, plus, you can't say what sort of power you would have in Congress until you're actually there, because the
Mm-hmm.
majorities right now are so slim that if we had one or two libertarians that were in Congress, I mean, that's a tipping point right there. That's a ton of power.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why like MTG and Matt Gaetz are kind of really doing a lot of work in Congress right now, and that's because they're putting the middle finger to their own party.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just one of those things where you never know how much power you're going to have until you get there.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any sort of experience in either that type of, with budgets, running, anything else political that would make you ideal for this position?
Budgets, I ran my own company for about 6 years. So naturally managing that, then paying people, so forth. I mean, doing invoices at the end of the month, seeing who's getting paid, what equipment you need, when do I have to spend money before it's tax season, blah blah blah. So
So
and then
you just can't add to the budget and then just go and force people to give you more money.
they're they're running off like the modern monetary theory right now, and even there they're messing that up with like growth to GDP debt, and they're idiots. But so yeah, I'm quite aware of that. As a matter of fact, I mean, and then when the second highest thing we have is paying off just our uh, where's escaping to me
Debt?
interest.
Mm.
Interest. There's not even principal being paid.
Yeah, it's just interest. And like when that's the second highest thing, it's just like, all right, this is non-sustainable. You guys made it that way. And furthermore, if you're going through the modern monetary thing, pretty much what they're doing is causing mass inflation while importing people, and then increasing the federal government. So it's kind of turning into a socialist, communist slave state where there will be no middle class. We'll all just be at the bottom, besides the real rich. So
Mm-hmm.
an oligarchy, or communism, which is kind of an oligarchy, really. But so that's where we're headed. But yeah, so I got some ideas about how to actually budget properly and make a profit. And hey, we got to work a little harder. Might have to let this guy go, or you know, that stuff's pretty easy. It's just numbers. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question?
I forgot.
All right,
um,
well, I answered it perfectly.
you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You answered the question
I like it.
as perfectly as you could there. Um, all right.
So I did have a question.
Okay.
So say you don't end up on the ballot on this, and would you consider running again for like Texas House District, like a more local to where you can actually affect change in like your district in Texas, not nationally?
That would be a consideration, but I think they actually coincide for the same thing. So it's really, do you want someone who's actually on the ballot for Congress, or if you want someone who's on the ballot for the House of Texas? So I mean, it's
Well,
kind of
like
like,
the Texas House district representatives, like mine's Briscoe Kane, and then you have like the senators, which is like Senate District Mays Middleton. So like for Texas, the ones who are making the laws that affect Texans as a whole. Like
Yeah,
for
I get what you're saying. I was just thinking about representation because if you have
Mhm.
one that's kind of more on a national scale
Hmm.
versus one that's a local. I mean, technically, yeah, being a representative for Congress is local, but it's also a bigger priority. So, for this one, that there was no one actually running against me, so my primary was me, uh,
Hmm.
and I joked and said I might vote none of the above at it, but no, it's so it depends. Yeah, for sure, it is a possibility. The big thing is, especially with the litigation that's going on, and whether or not I will or will not be on the ballot. Um, Waiting to see how that goes. Love to talk to you after that, after this. But now that I kind of know more of the rules,
Hmm.
which is something that, now it was a rush thing, so I was
Hmm.
in a bad position no matter what. But knowing more of that, yeah, there's a possibility I'd run for House. There's also a possibility I'd go for Congress again. Just depends. You never know what life's going to bring you.
Hmm.
I don't know, because I was just looking at your, at least close to you, the House District Representative, and I don't know that there was much of a fight.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, just looking, down the road, just in
Two-way
case,
races are
maybe.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the sad thing about the duopoly of America. It's just like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. If there's no Democrat, then it's like, who's a Libertarian?
Hmm. Yep. All right, let's see. Any other questions that I have? If somebody wants, I know we talked a little bit about some of your social media stuff that started getting blocked recently. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach out?
Uh, Currently, you can just go on my Facebook page. Facebook, you can just look me up, Brent Lewis. I'm pretty recognizable there. I have it on private, so you can just ask for a friend request. Um, After that, I will be most likely getting some stuff up pretty soon. I got some people that were following me, and they're kind of offering to help.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, I actually have some people that are Republicans but really hate Myra Flores. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get me to go to Republican rallies and support me that way. But yeah, so just right now, Brent Lewis, and once everything's confirmed,
Mm-hmm.
and because I believe it's August that everything has to be confirmed, correct, Nathan? As
Mm-hmm.
far as
Yep.
working out the other stuff, if that is confirmed, then there will be a full speed ahead kind of rush campaign, and
Gotcha.
yeah. But in meantime, I feel really bad about considering the uncertainty. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually have had some like high profile donors, like people that are on like Fox News regularly that have actually sent me a little bit of money here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where I feel really bad about taking, grandma's last $20 and then having nothing happen with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just waiting for confirmation to make sure everything is kosher before I go ahead and really, really start going full speed.
Gotcha. All right, man. Did you have any other questions you wanted to ask?
I did not. He answered them very well. So,
All right. Well, Brent, do you have anything else you want to bring up before we go?
Yeah, could LP Texas hold events in South Texas on occasion? Everything always seems to be in Dallas.
yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm in Houston and we haven't had anything here. So, like, we can go further south too. Nathan's not a fan, but will go further south. Like,
You know,
Corpus was the furthest south we've been. And I'm like, let's go further.
and let's go down to Brownsville once in a while. You can see the
I mean,
border.
we went
We
to
can
El
complain about
Paso.
that or support it. No big
We
deal.
went to El Paso. Let's go to Brownsville. Let's just hit like as far in directions as we can.
Hey, the plane tickets are cheap. I swear. Like there's like 4 airports right next to me.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you, Brent, for joining us today. Thank you, Amanda, as always, for co hosting with me. Um, Check out this video on the Libertarian Party of Texas YouTube page, as well as all of our other candidate interviews. And I believe we still have a couple more to do before the end of the month. So hopefully we'll have some more candidates up there for everybody to watch.
No, thanks for having
Awesome.
me, guys.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. All right. Well, you all take care then.
Bye.